Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Know Your Map series. I hope you guys are having a great day, and you are looking forward to learning a little bit more about the map I'm currently standing on, being Rig. So, you know the spiel, we're just going to get right into it. So let's start with the callouts. Okay, so starting with the callouts, we are going to start in this sort of deep corner here, being red spawn. If you look in the bottom left corner, as I'll point out probably in all these videos, it does give you your callouts that 343 have made themselves. It's called docking stairs here, for example. Most people will just say bunker, meaning this general corner. Bunker is definitely a good call out, so that just kind of remain. And then bunker stairs is what this is called. Moving on, we are going to walk this way. This is just engine 1, E1, kind of just like the pink in P1, sort of shortening of the call out, even I referenced on Truth. So you have engine 1, engine 2, so E1, E2. You have engine platform, or just, yeah, engine plat, E-plat, anything like that would work. This treehouse, definitely not a treehouse. So this is either, I used to call this E3 many times. Overlook is also just a good call out for this particular call out, usually just overlooking the nest area over there. Moving along, we have this general Whitehall area. It's called Junction this entire way through, but just you have the Whitehalls. So this is Whitehall Corner, and there really isn't a specific call out for this particular area. Maybe engine drop down or Whitehall drop or something like that might be a call out. I do believe we had a call out on my reciprocity team way back. We actually used a word for this. I can't remember exactly what it was, but maybe just Whitehall drop. And this is still E1, maybe SMG for some people. I believe like the first year there was an SMG here, so you might hear a splicing of that call out. This general area is still E1. I think it kind of works. It just depends on the sort of callouts you're getting. If you're hearing Nest Bridge to E1, probably meaning this general area. Maybe Whitehall to E1. It still is just like, this is the pathway that you're going to be hearing. This is also Underpass. Don't want to forget that. This is actually a good callout that you still see in the bottom left. This is BR base. Even though you do see a DMR here, I believe there was a BR first and second year, and the Stronghold here is actually just called a BR base. So that is the call out you will hear for this general area. Then moving on, we still have bottom tower, tower 1. Same thing with engine and Pink Street of Truth. Just have the T1, T2, but you'll probably hear tower more than anything. Top tower, bottom tower, tower 1, tower 2, and tower 3. This is called Tower Sneaky. Tower Sneaky, Tower 3 is probably what you'll hear more often than anything else is Tower 3. You have barrels and cuts as well. So I mentioned this, side note, tangent. This general area right here doesn't have a specific call out, but many little bends and sort of corners like this, just like the maze in Coliseum. You'll get call outs like cuts, maze, I'm trying to think. I feel like there's a couple other callouts people would use, but cuts and maze is the most typical. Moving on, we have barrels on top of scatter. This is usually considered top pipes. This is called yellow pipes. So top pipes, yellow corner, barrels, bunch of callouts just for these this general area. So don't be afraid if you hear just a bunch of splicing. Very possible for that to happen. We have what we would usually consider back rail. Yes, so this is called back rail. This entire area back here can be kind of confusing on Strongholds whenever there is a railgun on the map, I'm sure, but if you hear back rail, this is the back rail. More recently, I've noticed people have considered these the eggs. I don't know why they're called the eggs in particular. Not really sure why, but hey, it gets the job done. There's no other egg call out, but these things right here have kind of gotten the egg call out. So as we talked about back rail, this is called connector. Probably just a connector from, you know, it connects long haul. So this is long haul. Connects the catwalk to this long haul area. Connector just a sort of median area that leads to a lot of places. So the connector. You have basement. It's called load zone, but this is the basement call out. Usually, I believe the stronghold, if it is here, would be called basement. So this is basement, basement window. As you'll notice in many other maps and in previously, any just open area from any particular call out with like a wide open space that leads to somewhere else is usually just the window or the door. Door usually probably does look more like a door. It's more just smaller, but you get a big open window here, I guess, of sorts. You have the camo. This is called hatch, but just on camo. Bottom camo would be down there in the sewers. But before I get ahead of myself, let me actually double back here to this basement side. Now, there's a couple specific callouts. There is a couple basement area crates, as I'm looking at here. This I would actually consider probably the basement crate, if you ever hear anything like that, on the crate in basement. And then this is more specifically, I'd say, splinters. There used to actually be splinter nades spawning up right here. So, this usually just gets the splinter nade callout. Now, this also is now, and still has always been considered carbine. There is a BR here now. Some callouts just kind of retain what they are, because people just kind of get used to it. It's just kind of the way it goes, so there's a BR here now, but this is still the carbine area. This is also blue spawn, don't forget. Maybe just carbine on the stairs if they happen to be over here. Maybe you can even call it the frags, but back carbine is just like this general deep corner in this area. Now you have mid-cat. Mid-cat meaning just this general area, really just out in the middle of everything. You're not really going to hear just... If you hear a mid-cat call-out, it's just going to be very easy to tell that that's where they're talking about. If you hear mid-cat, you just poke out. Even if they're all the way over there, you just poke out, and you're going to probably see somebody. More often than not. So there isn't any like white cat or long haul cat or mid cat being here. This is just the mid cat area being this entire loop here. And this is considered open field. I think this entire area, yeah, it even says open deck this entire way through up to about here and then all the way over here. But this is considered open field. You have bottom nest and nest crate, top nest, and then of course sniper. And also unique call out is bat ledge. Kind of funny, I didn't even realize they actually considered that bat ledge, this small perch right here. But that is a good call out, gotta give them credit for that one. This is just bat ledge, nest ledge, but bat ledge for sure is the call out that gets used a lot. Bottom nest bridge being above, bottom nest bridge being just below it. And then sewers. This is kind of a very obscure area, so to speak. I think there used to actually be a storm rifle down here, but this general area really doesn't have very specific callouts. So you can say sewers on camo, sewers bottom camo, maybe nest side sewers, basement side sewers is what you're going to hear. Kind of unfortunate that it's not more specific, but it's just too late in the game now to even really try and create new callouts. So that's just kind of what you're going to get. And just something very simple that I forgot to include. This is what you'd probably consider the railgun spawn. Even if it is on a Slayer, you could say just on the railgun spawn in this general area. It's called drill platform, but if you say on railgun spawn, this is probably, again, it's something similar that if you're sitting in bunker, E2 tower, and you hear railgun spawn, that is just the general assumption to make, is that somebody is on top of that platform or near that platform at the very least. So if you have a line of sight, if you just hear that, you should probably be okay. This sort of long haul or mid haul area right here doesn't have another specific call out. It's just if you hear long haul to railgun, that's probably what they mean. Alright, and now since you guys are acquainted with the callouts for, I think, the majority of this map, I don't think I've left anything out, let's talk a little bit about meta. So, the meta with this map in particular, we'll just start out, I'd say, with Slayer. It's probably a little bit easier to break down. Slayer in general, I just want to say, is very much a sort of divide and conquer kind of game type anyway. So I just want to make that clear. It's very much like a apply pressure, try and use all advantages that you have at your disposal, and keep the enemy team sort of always guessing and always on the back foot as best you can, whenever you can, however you can. I think Rig is a very good example of a map like this, where in general, of course, camo is right there in my line of sight, just very easy to look at from this position. So it is very easy. Let me restart. So with camo in the line of sight here from tower, this is sort of probably one of the most important positions on the map. Playing tower side, playing long haul, sort of the inside of the map on these sides. This is still sort of playing long haul from the inside of the map. That's another thing I want to actually make note of. This is what you probably consider inside of the map, and then this is the outside of the map. This sort of entire range from nest, to carbine spawn, to sort of barrel side, even long haul. I mean, long haul you're starting to get into the map a little bit, but it's more so you get past these walls and you're in the inside. So that is sort of a caveat in case I start talking about inside outside when talking about the meta and how to play this map. You really want the inside of the map more often than not for these camos that are coming up every 2 minutes whenever you pick them up. In general, for a Slayer, it is very, very easy to allow the enemy team to spawn bunker and not create any influence for them to spawn anywhere else. So for example, if your team is 4 up and the other team is 4 dead and you are blocking, let's say, connector here, you have a teammate maybe long haul, maybe a teammate sitting nest bridge, E2 area, and then a teammate top tower. Even if this teammate happens to be, you know, we're in the inside of the map right now, and even sort of facing that direction, or sitting behind this wall, or sitting behind this wall, very close up. Like, this is very close to the spawn point that these guys may experience. E1, E1, bunker, deep bunker, bunker stairs. It is very difficult for the enemy team to really do much off their respawn, because I can still poke out right away from tower, and my teammates are just blocking all of the respawns very easily everywhere else. And even if you start to poke and get some easy shots, because from this bunker spawn, which is very, very common, you usually can see 1, 2, maybe even 3 people spawn on the stairs and one guy bunker, maybe. They're just walking out to you standing top tower, already getting the height advantage and first shot advantage right away from that respawn. So just being up here, being maybe even further back or even higher above them, looking down on these guys, they can even spawn in your field of view. That can happen as long as your teammates are blocking other spawns. A person can spawn right in front of my reticle, even right now, if they were coming off respawn. So keeping them pinned back like this is very, very important, and you want to try and do that as many times as you can in Slayer. And then once you get that damage, you get those kills, you then want to slay out, turn around, and maybe even start playing off of a carbine sort of kill spread here, where you can split these guys 2-2, and allowing them to spawn all in one corner can work out sometimes. Especially in bunker, where they're very limited to do much, because if you have a teammate sitting top tower watching their bunker, and you have a teammate sitting on this railgun platform here, maybe a guy E2, you can see every form of approach of where they're going to go. Teammate sitting E2 here, he can even see somebody spawn deep bunker. They happen to go E1, he might get shot, or he'll just look low. And then all the other angles are covered from these positions, top tower and railgun platform, and somebody blocking a spawn. So that's why bunker is such an oppressive spot to be put into. And if you can force them bunker, it makes it so much more difficult for anybody to do anything. You are close to camo here. You, even though you are not technically on the outside of the map, you're kind of holding more heavily on the inside. As long as you have somebody blocking a spawn somewhere else, you're not standing in the bunker, they should most likely spawn bunker in E1. And it's going to be hard for them to break out to get to snipe, break out to get to camo, or break out to get to tower, being some of the very key points on this map. However, as I said before, Slayer is very much a divide and conquer type of game type, and you want to try and take as much of an advantage as you can for those moments. So if you can get a couple kills in bunker and then leave bunker quickly to split 2 people up and shoot them off their respawn here, coming off carbine, and you usually can have 2 or 3 people influencing, or not even influencing, putting down the pressure, and then 1 person influencing this respawn. That allows for just this sort of split spawn pressure that most of the time, unless the other team can outplay or get a lucky spawn, maybe nest or barrels, they're not going to be able to fight back all that well. Like I said, unless they really make a huge outplay, it's going to be very difficult for the enemy team to get back into the game. So divide and conquer if you can. Split these teams up. Apply the pressure. You have to have that sort of level of communication, though, with your team to have a successful push. If all my teams are collapsing on, you know, bunker, and 2 or 3 of my teammates are tower, E2, or 2E2, and I'm just sitting long haul, and it's been, you know, the 8-second respawns, we killed 3 people, it's probably not wise for me to take this challenge on 2 or 3 people completely solo. Now, if I communicate that and one of my teammates that's E2 turns around, maybe I chuck a nade, and I'm kind of standing a little bit further back so I can thrust away. Like, that sort of meta, that sort of play style will allow you to keep up the pressure, stay safe, and just allow yourself to not take any sort of step back in this pressure while your teammates are still cleaning up kills and using your numbers, because Slayer really is just a numbers game. You really have to work as a team. You have to really have that union with your teammate and teammates in general, and just collapse. You have to be able to work together, and that is what's going to allow you to crush the enemy team in the most absolute form. So as I mentioned before, you particularly want to have the inside of the map at certain times, and you can still have the inside of the map, as I said before, and keep the pressure. And if you can split the enemy team, you know, 2 players here, 2 players somewhere else, and keep tabs on everybody, you're going to have a very good time for your team if the communication is very on point. And then, when the time comes, a sniper rifle is coming up, camo's coming up, like I said, you can then act on that. You can then act on that in a more meaningful fashion. If a camo's coming up, that would be the time. Okay, let's block bunker spawns. Let's not just stand around trying to split these spawns. We need to make sure we get this camo. Don't take any chances. And once we get camo, or if a sniper's coming up soon, then we have just lines of sight on the sniper here, and we have a bunch of cover. So even if we have this great line of sight, we can't really just go right on out for it. We're all in the open. Everybody on the carbine spawn over there can just kind of look over at us, or anybody can look at us from, you know, long haul, walking through to that railgun spawn. So we have great angles, but we have to use them properly. Rig is just sort of that way. That's just the way it plays. There are so many corners, so many angles, but that means you just have to use it at the right times. If there are camos and snipers coming up, use these spots, use these positions, and if you're in trouble, thrust away, get away, whatever you can do, stay alive, and just take your time and coordinate with your team from these beneficial positions, because they're only as good as you use them. Whenever you are, like, a sniper's coming up and you're like this E2 Whitehall position right here on Nest Bridge, it's not going to be all that great if you just walked out, died right away. That just allows for an easy walkthrough on that sniper position, but have somebody posted up there, somebody white corner. You just have so much territory and so much pressure on these guys. Back them up, get a couple nades, and it's just so easy to play from this side, the inside of the map, compared to what I said earlier is considered the outside. So always keep that in mind whenever these important things are coming up. There's a camo as well, I forgot to mention. If you're just right here in white corner or A2, you can just easily grab these and get out. Whatever the means of you getting this camo and getting out quickly allows you to, you know, back up and get away, and then utilize it to the fullest capacity later on after you're safe. But if you're coming in from the outside, just very simple, of course, like, you getting this camo and then going anywhere in the inside of the map, if your team is the one that doesn't have tower, you guys don't have E2, you don't have bunker, or maybe even like this railgun spawn here, all you can really do with this camo is back up towards basement, maybe, Maybe you go into sewers just right away, you drop down, maybe you go underpass, but these are all very, very risky plays or desperate plays if you just have to burn it because you're not in the right spots. So that is why if you can hold the inside at these key moments in the game, you really need to. You really cannot let the enemy team have these positions, have these moments to work with when the important things are going on. Because this camo and this sniper are big swing objects, big swing sort of power-ups and power weapons that allow you to either get back in the game or reinforce the lead that you already have. Now, one thing that is kind of unique and somewhat different, but for good reason, about Strongholds is there is, of course, the top nest stronghold, there is the BR base over there, and then there is basement down here. The sort of meta and more common pickups will be basement here, and then also top nest. One thing I also want to say about Strongholds and why it's still a very interesting game type is it allows you and kind of makes you in the highest level of competition hold positions that necessarily aren't the most beneficial, but if you can get them, leave them wide open. Because in Strongholds, some people maybe they want, I say we want basement, I say we also want nest. Some people might not just leave these positions. You might stay basement, you might stay nest, and you don't ever really push out through long hall or white hall or top tower. You just kind of hold those two and hold the outside of the map. However, you can leave basement almost completely wide open. Maybe you have a teammate in long hall, sitting connector, teammate top tower, teammate white corner, and then somebody lingering. But as long as there's a single person blocking a particular spawn, it's kind of similar. I think I mentioned this in Plaza before on Strongholds, where if you can have nest and have a singular person sort of playing around nest, letting them spawn around them or forcing them across into blue, it's kind of a similar thing here, where you block these carbine spawns, you force them to spawn bunker. If you have the inside of the map, then that just sort of reinforces this pressure again. It's always about the reinforcement of pressure and pushing that advantage state. So, as I said, you have basement, you have nest. Now, if you have the inside of the map properly and you are still blocking the carbine spawn somewhat and watching over nest, then you can then move into the map. Don't think of Strongholds as you need to cap and sort of hunker down and just bunker up. That is really not the case. Once there are 4 alive, that 4th person that's on the back line can then move forward. You want to make sure that you are, like, your back end is safe. That's why you always want to have the 4th person sort of here, but after he checks the scoreboard, okay, 4 alive, we have tower control, we have long haul. This guy can then walk up, maybe help E2, maybe help bunker, cuts, whatever he has to do. And then try and force the triple cap. That's always what you want to try and do. That's the ideal, is we want a triple cap as the team putting down the pressure. But to get that trip cap, you can't usually just, okay, I'm tower, I'm just going to hop in BR base while it's a 4v4 and no one's dead yet. You have to have these right positions to even do much off of it. So, you have tower, you have long haul, white corner, 4th guy sort of doing whatever he wants to do. You get your kills, you force the trip cap, and then again, you flip spawns, and you keep tabs and communicate, I'm blocking bunker, or I'm blocking carbine. They're going to spawn here, wherever that could be. I'm giving some sort of hypotheticals of just some general callouts you should probably utilize and say, such as, like, if you're trying to force them carbine, and you just got the trip cap, in BR base, you say, toss a couple nades, I'm blocking bunker, they're going to spawn carbine. That means everybody else besides yourself who is not capping can then push out. Now, if you apply enough pressure, maybe there could be a spawner behind you E1, or barrels, or wherever. You just got to keep these things in mind, but it's always just an information game. Halo very much is an information game, and you are going to succeed. The team that's more well-prepared is most likely the one that's going to succeed, more often than not. So always keep the tabs, always keep the communication up. All of these things will tally up to a more successful and dominant win if you can keep track of everything. So since we talked about the meta, let's get into some jumps and some sort of sneaky things you can use to get back into these gunfights and these positions that you need to be in and whatever you have to do to get into the game once again. I'm even going to go over some basic things, sort of cut around to things that are useful and very applicable to the game. So if you do not use this already, you can stand on this E1 sort of lip here to even jump up to E2. Get there quickly rather than, you know, clamber, or even walking up that. Just use this, get up very quickly. You go from tower 1 to tower 2. And then something, of course, much more common now is spring jumping up from tower 1 to tower 2, allowing you to have a much more swift approach and sneaky approach. There you go. So, then you have the tower 1 to tower 2 spring jumps, either forward facing here, you can even stand right in front of it, or the very common one through the window, if I can hit it. Not quite, but you get the gist. You've all seen it. Spring jumping up from the bottom window here to tower 2. Kind of more annoying one to get into, but you can walk along it. So something I just realized is that you can actually just jump right into this. You don't really need any sort of setup. Kind of need a little bit of momentum. Just jump right in, get the top tower. So you have a few forms of approach to getting into that area. A useful ledge as well is this on the side that you can use to get the jump on somebody's top tower from the back end. Just sort of clamber off the edge, or if you already are top tower, you can of course jump, thrust over, jump on through. Something I've used a lot lately is spring jumping off of this crate to get to the top railgun spawn. Another one as well. It's a lot of spring jumps on rig. Something didn't fully get realized, but you can spring jump off that barrel or that guardrail. You can do something similar here, off this rail to E2. Kind of a slight angle to hit, but you can hit it, as well as this nest bridge. A lot of railings here that I've begun to use that become very, very useful. To get you into these gunfights, to get you to these very important positions very quickly. You can even be under the bat ledge walking along this wall. Something I do a lot. You can even jump and continue to jump up and down just to sort of do something annoying. Milk your life. You can stand on top of this ledge. Get yourself across. You don't even have to use thrust here, but you can jump along this. You can even jump on this ledge, jump across, get from one side to the next. You can also drop from white corner if you happen to be in some sort of gunfight here, E1, E2, whatever. Drop right away, walk on through. Something that I use quite frequently as well is if you want to get from here to bottom nest bridge very quickly, you can land on that sort of guardrail and just crouch jump up to bottom nest bridge. Another one I use quite frequently now as well is jumping up this guardrail to the mid cat. But of course, a lot of these gotta practice your spring jumps. Let me see real quick if you can stabilize jump up to these. You can do that as well. So you have a lot of forms of approach here if you can time it properly and do these things. Don't even have to spring jump if you do not want to, but it of course will make things just easier, and you'll stay off radar. One thing that is very nice about this crate is it is very multi-use. You can hit a few jumps that can get you up top to this mid cap very easily. One going from crate to just that way, or if you want to try and get to white corner, you hit your spring jump, and then you hit your stabilize right after. You get right on in, go straight for that camo, pick it up, get out. So very, very useful in these tight situations that could require some clean movement. One thing that I have actually noticed lately is that you can approach nest bridge without even having to hit a clamber. These may come off as kind of, how you put it. It can seem simple and dumb almost at times, but who knows? Maybe you just didn't know these little things could allow you to not clamber at all, hit your shots right away, and not be stuck in some animations for some time. Another very, very popular spring jumping from below this corner up top to railgun spawn right away. Get up top for this railgun, get some cover, play for camo, whatever you want to do. Just a quick, so if you need a quick getaway from BR base to get anywhere else, if you're stuck out in the stronghold, you can easily just crouch climber up to this railing. If you're stuck in this corner, you can utilize these crates, spring jump out, get out into bunker, or even stabilize. Caveat again, as I showed earlier, if you have your stabilize available and you just want to get out quickly, you don't want to show up on radar, or if you don't even care, you can use your stabilize just like so. One small thing that I think some people, just a little under the radar kind of thing, is you can just clamber up this wall, crouch clamber, without having to spring jump, without having to hit anything crazy. You don't need to stabilize at all, you just hold your jump crouch, get up to tower 3. So another small, simple thing that can be utilized is sort of jumping off this crate into long haul. Another thing that if you just want your gun up and ready, you don't have to clamber. You don't want to... It's also very useful. I use it a lot in my gameplay so that I have some cover whenever I jump up here. So I can be ready for guys, you know, long haul or barrels, and they can't really get a easy shot on me. They can still see me, maybe. I can get some nades, just peek out, whatever I want to do, and then, you know, if I get shot, I can just back on down. There is no stronghold here, but if there was a stronghold, you could also just spring jump up to long haul, if that is something you'd like to do. Something I utilize a lot that I don't see many others do is if you jump on this railing, you can make... You jump on this railing and you jump across. One thing that I do not see many other people utilize all too much is jumping off this railing to jump across and behind to that back rail location. You should be able to clamber that ledge there that I'm looking at, like so. Just sort of get that jump. You can kind of do a similar thing across. You don't have to use a thrust. Happen to just miss it, but you can jump from one side to the next without having to use your abilities. You can walk along this wall. Very, very situational, but still useful information to know. And a similar thing can happen here, where maybe they're spawning carbine, you're just sitting in basement, and you're just kind of playing your life in a very, very sneaky corner. One small thing that I forgot to mention, there's a little nuance to this area over here. One thing to maybe use is if you happen to get pushed out to this back sort of railing here. Flank stake is what it's called, I guess. You can actually drop down into sort of this invisible barrier. I think you will die. So you will die walking through there, but you can walk into this corner at the very least. And if you hit your spring jump here, hit that, and then a stabilize, it is possible to make it to tower 2, as I will show now. Just like that. And with the power of editing in one fell swoop. Now, I know there actually are some nerdy spots that I'll show just here, like so. Kind of annoying to get into, but could be very, very useful. Thrust into the wall, you kind of hold in. I think you might need to keep holding in, actually, to make sure you don't fall. Just keep holding into this corner. Let me see if I let go. Okay, no, you don't have to, but make sure that you walk in enough so that you don't actually have to move. But it is sort of this corner right here that I'm standing on, I suppose. That one thing I noticed is you can sort of clamber this ledge to jump up on this side, which I never realized, but everyone would just kind of, you know, jump thrust in. I would say this is the snake bite special. Alright, and that is all I have for you guys today. Rig is very filled with a lot of nuance. There's probably still some small things I missed. Looking back at it, just something even like this. Jumping on that. But there's a lot of nuance to this map. I don't want to get too sidetracked. There is a lot of things that you could probably jump on, clamber on, spring jump up to, whatever. And there might still be a few things I missed, so let me know if there's anything I did miss. Anything I didn't even know, maybe. There's always still a lot of things to learn. I'm always still picking up small things here and there that I can do on these maps. So, I will see you guys on the next one. Maybe let me know what you guys want to see out of the next video. If you have any sort of suggestions or tips for me, it'd be much appreciated. So have a great rest of your day, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.